It is the final word. Jeff Lemon, Adam Collins, who was supposed to be recording this at a go-karting track. And I'm very surprised to have learned that maybe a go-karting track was too noisy to record a podcast.
Wasn't so much that. Whilst, yes, the track was very noisy. This is quite a significant thing there going on there. Gravity Max, it's called. It does everything there. It's only been open a few days, and there's heaps of different rooms and whatever else. But we were going to go in the karaoke area, but it didn't quite.
The notoriously quiet.
Yeah. Well, it would have worked. The plan was sound. It's just that the technology did not allow for us to do what we needed to do. The lights weren't turning on, so I couldn't film. And I thought, you know what? I'll come home, talk to you, and I can recap what happened.
You can
briefly. Not quite 30-second summary stuff, but there's two tracks, and our marathon runners, Tom Stewart, Jim Robertson, as in not the one who was the dad in Neighbours. I was surprised to learn when I said that to Jim. He's like, "Oh, what's the Neighbours reference?" I'm like, Jim Robertson, right? You must get that all the time. Huh. Anyway,
I met a dog called Bouncer, and I made that joke, and the dog didn't respond at all. Nothing.
Not a Bouncer 5. Bouncer's Dream. And Matt Jones, Dr. Jones calling, Dr. Matt Jones was there as well, along with Tubes, and they duked it out. Tubes won the first race, which I was surprised by. I've never seen him drive before, but I'm not entirely enthusiastic about being in a car driven by Tubes. He did win, though.
I'd probably be putting my hand up for the other, whoever was driving the family station wagon or something.
And that was on the Mario Kart track. It's pretty cool, actually. There's like the little Mario Kart bits where you can kind of get the acceleration from driving across is it the mushroom in Mario Kart? You get this,
mushrooms,
or the
bananas.
star.
Well, if you throw bananas out of the go-kart, do you get in trouble?
No, but like there's little things you can press it on your panel and all that. And then on the second track, the quicker one, Jim did extremely well. He finished, I think, in the top 10 times for the whole day recorded on the track. So that was a nice thing. Then they were off to play.
There's a version of it in Japan where you can do Mario Kart, with the painted up karts and whatever, but just on the roads in Tokyo. You can just drive around on public roads in your Mario Karts because Japanese culture makes people so trustworthy and respectful that you will be safe driving a Mario Kart vehicle on the road. Imagine doing that in some other major cities of the world, and like your likelihood of coming out of it in one piece.
Yeah, not too crash hot. So that was fun. Nice way to spend a couple of hours down there. Heaps of other stuff. They were staying on to play some billiards, and there's so much stuff going on there. It's like an entire complex of fun. So we'll learn more about Gravity Max. We might do our meet up there for the World Cup final, possibly. We'll see how we go. It's in the complex there. Jeff, our segment 3, though, which is over to you because I've done a lot of recapping on cricket today, is our Indian Premier League wrap. Last week of the group stage, into the playoffs. Tell me the stuff I need to know.
I think we should have called this the half-assed IPL. That would have been the way to do it because it has been extremely half-assed. It's maybe even been quarter-assed on occasion.
Yes.
No greater half-assedness than when we just couldn't even remember or be bothered looking up last week what the final structure is. And because, I knew there were playoffs and some funky bits, but I couldn't remember if it was 5 or 4. Anyway, it is 4, but it's 4 where 3 and 4 play off and 1 and 2 play off and 1 goes to the final and the loser of 1 and 2 plays the winner of 3 and 4. That kind of thing. But it is only a top 4, not a top 5.
Well, one of our patrons, Ian Wolstenholme, told us this on Twitter. I'm like, oh, yeah, I think it's the Big Bash with the Final 5, right? Yes. Maybe not the IPL. Yeah, okay. So this is but this is the McIntyre Final 4, right? It's first versus second, third versus. I mean, I'm comforted by the fact that it's a proper, rigorous double chance final series. And what I like about double chance final series, if you earn it, you get 2 cracks of making the grand final, as it should be. I don't like preliminary finals. I've never liked preliminary finals in Aussie rules because despite how good you are, you still only get one bite of the cherry when it matters most in the final 4. Whereas in the old days, when it was a final 5 or a final 6, you would get 2 goes. And that's the integrity of that is maintained in that competition, known for its integrity, the Indian Premier League.
Yes,
there you go.
It is. The I stands for integrity.
The Integrity Premier League.
That's what it's all about. I think if you're good enough, you should just win prelims, just win them.
Never really been a problem for my club, I must say, as opposed to your club who've lost a fuckload of them. But prelims, okay for Hawthorn. We lost one in 2011, but, we typically win those. We lost a prelim earlier in our existence too, and I'm struggling to remember which one it was. But we're okay at that level. It's not really that. It's more I don't like it from a procedural fairness perspective.
Well, you got to make them to lose them, and I guess that just means that Geelong have made more of them over the journey.
It's true.
There we are. So right, nonetheless, let us. Well, there's a game going on right now. In fact, so here is roughly where this finished up. You had Kolkata Knight Riders finishing top, and you had Sunrisers Hyderabad making a late surge up the ladder to join them in second place, to join them in the double chance saloon.
The qualifying final, the second semi-final, more to the point.
Where these two play off for a final spot, which is happening, and Sunrisers Hyderabad are on their way to defeat. It looks like they got towed up in the first innings. Mitchell Starc, 3 for 22 from his first 3 overs. He bowled
Mitch.
He bowled Travis Head second ball for a duck. So Travis Head made a golden in his previous outing, and a second baller here. Very Travis Head. He's monstered the competition. He's made 500 and something runs at a strike rate of 200, and then he's made 2 ducks in 3 balls, both being bowled by left armers as well, because he got done by Arshdeep Singh, I think, in the previous game. So. That angle seems to be working against Travis Head. Take notes for the T20 World Cup. And then, Abhishek Sharma got out, and then Starc took a couple more in quick time, including another golden thrown in there too. So anyway, they were 39 for 4 at that point. Heinrich Klaassen did a bit of a repair job, 32 off 21. Tripathi, 55 off 35. Cummins whacked 30 at the end, including... so Starc comes back with 3 for 22 to his name, and his last 2 balls get hit for a 6 and a 4 by Cummins to end his spell, which was quite funny. Anyway, 159 all out, and, the Kolkata Knight Riders are mowing it down at the moment. Gurbaz made 23. Sunil Narayan's still there. Hasn't really got going yet, but they're 53 for 1 in the 5th over, so they should win it. If they don't, it'll be real interesting, and we'll talk about it next week. But
maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Or we might forget to.
We might forget. It's a half-assed IPL. We might not even remember that we'll probably remember that. So, okay, that was 1 and 2, right? And then 3 and 4, this was kind of more interesting, because the double chance means that Sunrisers will get another go. Travis Head will get another go. It was interesting because Rajasthan Royals were top of the table most of the season. Mm-hmm. Then they lost 3 in a row. They dropped down to second. And what I said last week was they've got to beat Punjab, who are garbage, and then they've got to beat KKR if they want to get back to the top of the table. They didn't beat Punjab. They lost to them. So, and Joss Buttler has left Rajasthan to go and play for England in this sort of warm-up T20 series that they're playing. He's replaced by Tom Kohler-Cadmore, which didn't work. Rian Parag made some fast runs. They had Ashwin batting at 5. It was all a bit haphazard there with Rajasthan Royals. They only made 144 with Rahul Chahar. Remember the leg spinner who's with the sort of skinny body and the little gangly action. Yeah. Fast leg spinners. He returned good figures. Nathan Ellis did too. But this is the odd bit is Punjab got to keep their English players. So Bairstow and Sam Curran are both in that England squad for the World Cup, but they're not. They haven't been pulled out to play these warm-up games, but Butler has. But Punjab are well out of the running, not in contention for finals. Rajasthan are. Seems a bit odd to me. I know he's the captain, but still, Phil Salt got pulled out. Butler got
Will
pulled
Jacks.
out. Others didn't.
I think Will Jacks was quite significant. I'm sure you're going to talk in a moment about what's going on with RCB having made the Final Four. Given why don't we go there now? That feels like a fairly substantial.
I'm on the way there.
Okay.
There. So anyway, Sam Curran makes 63 not out to win that game after getting Jaiswal out with the ball as well. So good game for him. That makes it 4 losses in a row for Rajasthan, which means they couldn't take top spot, but they were still in a position to lose second spot, and they did because they got washed out. So they only got 1 point from their rained out game. The big blockbuster against KKR that it was supposed to be ended up getting rained out. So they dropped down to third. Hyderabad got up to second because they got washed out too. So they didn't beat Gujarat, but they didn't need to. They got a point and they got to second. Mumbai went to the bottom of the table. They got beaten by the Lucknow Langers in a dead game. Krunal Pandya 1 for 29 to beat his brother's team. Hasn't been a good season for Mumbai. Right. So you've got Lucknow who can't qualify. They're level on points. Well, this is a few days ago. They were level on points for 4th, but gone on net run rate. Same goes for Delhi. You had Chennai in 4th spot on 14 points. You had RCB on 12 points, but not much net run rate between them, which meant that if Royal Challengers Bangalore won that game by enough, they would go through. They needed to win by 18 runs. That was the equation.
And the other part to this was that at one stage after 8 games, RCB were dead bottom with 1 win.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, they were so far off the pace. They needed to win 6 on the trot to have any mathematical chance of doing it. And they proceeded to win 6 on the trot. I mean, this game here, the result's immaterial. Although, as you're about to explain, I'm sure they did make plenty of runs, and they would have won it. More often than not, they win the game with the number of runs they score, which included Maxi, by the way. Will Jacks went home, and Maxi played and hit a couple of sixes and got out last ball, but did the right thing and got them up 220 odd, something like that.
Yes, pretty much that. 218.
Okay, 218.
Which meant that CSK didn't need to make 218; they needed to make 201. Interesting that the logjam of teams, Royal Challengers Bangalore had the best net run rate, despite everybody talking about Kohli batting too slowly for the entire season. Seemed to score fast enough to have a better net run rate than the other teams around there. Anyway,
right. Yes,
he's also hit 37 sixes, by the way, which is the second most in the IPL this season, and what's his season strike rate's about 155, which is 9.5 and over. So apparently that's too slow. Anyway, Kohli and Faf du Plessis inside the first 10 get to 78 and 10 overs, too slow. And then they accelerate well after that. So Patidar, who was floating around in that test series having a bad time, 41 off 28 balls. Cameron Green finally got onto a few, 37 not out off 17. He was hitting them like he was hitting them in New Zealand in that test innings when he was just going back and lumping everything over the leg side. And then the finishes, Dinesh Karthik, 14 off 6, Glenn Maxwell, 16 off 5, plays a reverse hook shot first ball, top edge for 4 over fine leg, real maxi areas. So 218. Teek Sharna and Mitchell Santner were tidy for CSK, but nobody else was spared, and CSK needing 201 to go through. But Maxwell bowls the first over, gets Gaikwad out first ball of the chase. Helpful.
And it just... That's right. It wasn't like a classic off-spinner's dismissal or anything, but it was just an emblem of like the pitches are deteriorating. We're so deep into the season that ball spun, ragged, and that was the variable there. And that's why Maxwell ended up bowling 4 overs, 1 for spit in the circumstances. And that's what ended up being really influential at the end, Jeff. Like I may have a confession to make. I watched the last few overs.
Did you?
I know. Me. Yeah. Well, that's not even true either. I followed it on the Cricinfo, live scores, and then once we put the girls to bed, I went downstairs and I thought this seems like this might have been pretty cool. I rewound it, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I fast forwarded between balls, but I watched the last 5 overs.
Okay,
very unusual for me to do that, but I did. So I was like, how did this actually happen? How did this come to pass that Dhoni's hit 110-metre 6, left himself very gettable 16 runs in the final over. He's flying by this point, only to hit a 6 first ball of the last over, then get out, then for Jadeja and Thakur not to be able to score more than 1 run in the final 4 balls and to basically capitulate. Well, I couldn't work it out. How did this happen?
There's a lot going on there. They were the Chennai Super New Zealanders as well, for one thing. They had Rachin Ravindra, they had Dazzler Mitchell, and they had Santner all playing in the 11. So Santner has been like the Carlo Cudicini of CSK, basically sitting behind Jadeja, not playing for about the last 10 years and collecting a nice salary, and he's played about 2 games a season. They did bring him in for this one. Maybe it is that late in the year thing where it's starting to turn a bit more, but until that point, he's just been able to chill on the bench. And he did bowl well, as I mentioned. But Daryl Mitchell goes early. Ravindra, though, he's killing it. He's batting beautifully. He's slashing everything through the offside. He has a good partnership with Ajinkya Rahane. And then when just after Rahane gets out, he runs himself out, basically, Ravindra, for 61. He tries to take a 2 that's just not there. And Shivam Dubé goes with it, and that forces Ravindra to run, even though he wants to bail out by that point, and he's gone by an absolute mile. He's probably halfway down the pitch. And then Dubé holes out, and then Santner comes out on 3 and drills this shot over mid-off, and Faf du Plessis somehow gets up in the air and pulls in a ridiculous one-hander.
De Villiers style. Yeah. The Spider-Man catch from years ago.
So that's influential, but this is in the ring. This is like the ball's traveling at a serious pace, and he's as surprised as anyone to find it's still in his hand and he's still got all his fingers. So, so it comes down to a last tilt for Chennai with Jadeja and Dhoni. It's classic. It's old school Chennai Super Kings. Here we go. The old firm doing it again. It's going to be Dhoni's last game if they lose, his
Probably.
last season. Well, he said this is it, didn't he?
But doesn't he? He tends to give that impression. I don't think he said it, has he? I think he's just kind of intimated.
Maybe he just quit as captain, but didn't say that he.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised now they've been, well, spoiler, they've been bundled out. If he has another go and wants to leave as a,
Maybe if they reanimate the
he's clearly good enough.
Kerala Tuskers.
But this is the longest he's batted in the whole tournament, right? Yeah. He's never came in with more. There was 5 overs to go exactly when he walked in. Yeah. That's the longest time in a game, so 30 balls that he's been required in the whole tournament. Yeah. So I think that the thesis is that if you are only really using him for at most 15 balls of an innings, that his role and the way he sees it, having not diminished at all, that they may as well roll the dice again. I mean, I love the idea.
Maybe. I mean, he does have 10 months of doing absolutely nothing between now and the next time, which probably isn't the best for keeping your skills at that level. But you're right. There are 5 overs left when he comes in, and he puts on with Jadeja 61 in 26 balls. They're getting into it, and they get the equation down to 17 needed from the last over, and an added bit of spice. It's Yash Dayal, who's the seamer that, you remember when Rinku Singh hit 5 6 and 5 balls to win a game?
Yeah. That's him, wasn't it?
Yash Dayal's the poor bastard who was at the other end of and he just couldn't land them. He kept bowling full tosses and they kept disappearing. And he was pretty shattered by the whole experience, as you would be. They give him the last over. They trust him with the last over, which is a big thing in itself. And he comes in and he bowls a filthy slot pie, and Dhoni top edges a sort of just swing across the line, basically, that goes flying over deep fine leg for 6. So if you're Yash Dayal, you're like, oh, here we go again.
This was the one. Actually, that's the one that went 110 metres, I think. That's the one that he managed to get underneath.
There was one that hit the roof and came back.
Yeah, I think that's one that went. So that's right. It was the first ball of the final over where they did the graphic. I mean, it's the IPL TV graphics. It might have gone about 82 metres, but 110 because Dhoni hit it, whatever. But but still, it was a substantial hit. The ball was clearly travelling in the direction of out of the stadium. You know what I mean?
I don't know if you've got 110 metres to play with in the Chinnaswamy.
It's kind of like they measure where it would have landed, and they did a parabola and so on.
Pop a little asterisk, a little not out on that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's bowled that ball. It's 11 off 5. 11 off 5 is pretty gettable if you got 2 set hitters at the crease. And Dhoni goes again next ball, and this one goes squarer, and it hangs up there for a while, and it comes down just inside the line, and he's caught it deep square leg, 25 off 13. And then poor old Shardul Thakur, he's the one who got his pad blown off by Malinga to lose a final a few years ago for them as well. He is next in, 4 balls to go, and he doesn't connect with the first one, and he barely connects with the second. He takes 2 balls to get Jadeja back on strike, and that's a crucial 2 deliveries, and that means Jadeja needs 10 off 2. And Yash Dayal just sort of drives them into the pitch outside the off stump, sort of saying, if you want to go across the line, you'll have to really fetch it. And it works, pace off. The first one's just inside the wide line and gets away with it, and Jadeja can't connect, and that's basically it. They celebrate like they've won the game when that first stop ball happens, which I think's dangerous because you can send the next one down leg side for 5 wides and suddenly you're back in trouble again. But then they bowled the next delivery, which did hit the pitch, and got to celebrate twice, like Elise Perry with a double 100.
It was a weekend for the early crow, Campbell Brown, who, it's Campbell Brown to keep it in perspective. He goes, the Hawks are home here, 43 seconds to go, and then Port kicked 2 goals in the last 32 seconds to beat us by a point, which when he didn't quite understand why we didn't get to sing the song at the end, I'm like, because a very freaky thing just happened. Yes, look, early. Yeah, we'll never do that. Speaking of, I've got to go and get her, so we've got to wrap this up. But the way they celebrated is a bit of a tease for story time. Kohli played in, the IPL final back in 2009 for RCB, the first of a long string of finals where they have not won the trophy. I get why he went fucking mental at the end. But, got to be in it to win it. Maxi, likewise, he's had a terrible group stage, but at least he's there. He's playing in this final because Jax isn't there. Old stages like Duplessis, who knows? Maybe the old blokes win things mantra might come off. Right, maybe, Jeff, thank you.
It's, by the way, 63 for 1 in the run chase. Sunil Narine is batting like it's a test match for him. He's 17 off 14 balls. I don't know what's going on there. Cummins went for 16 off his first over. But anyway, they're 63 for 1 after 6 overs, chasing 150-ish.
Right, that's our RPL wrap, and that's our show, because I've got kids to collect. Thank you for listening. This has been brought to you by Westfield London and Westfield Stratford City, where I've been in the middle of the recording. More extra, less ordinary. Chip into the half marathon efforts. You know how to do it. Find us on Patreon. Get the ad-free feed. All of this stuff is available to you. We love yous for it. Adam Collins, Chef Lemon, signing off. Heaps more coming in the feed later in the week, including 2 story times.
See you later.
Bye for now.